Sorry, everybody, technical difficulties. So, where we had last left off, the Sept was currently sounding its warning alarms as guardians were gathering. Shadows were encroaching upon this last bastion of Gaia's strength in the area, and Tosun-Kai had just shot at one of the intruders that he'd seen passing through. As the arrow pierces the flesh, there's no blood. It's as though it had simply passed through lifeless yet animate meat. Indeed, it only slows the intruder for but a second as his hand reaches out and grabs the arrow that has lodged itself in his side, and he yanks it out, pulling a small amount of muscle tissue along with it, and dropping it to the ground. At this point, he has definitely noticed you, and his advance is no longer on the temple that is the center of the dragon's nest, but very quickly turned on his heel, started towards you. You hear faint whispers sounding vaguely like some European language, though even that unnatural, perhaps backwards or blasphemous dialect therein.
All right. Oh, well, I guess, for lack of a better option, I will fire another arrow.
The arrows continue to rain down upon this individual, and the majority of them hit. They stick into his flesh, many of them even able to pierce vital organs, perhaps even one through the throat. Though the sense that this person, this creature, undead, not slowed by the limitations of mortal flesh, dawns on you fairly quickly, along with the horrific realization that most others seem to be fighting the shadows, the other intruders, and you seem to be alone in this one until you catch out of the corner of your eye, creeping forward quickly through the bushes, the white tail, though now significantly larger, more the size of a wolf than a fox, coming up behind him.
All right. So I'll try and keep its attention on me for the time being, at least.
As he whispers, green flames, not unlike balefire, begin to creep up his arms. And once close enough, he lunges for you. The feeling of flaming claws rake across your chest, cutting your clothes very much like butter and causing them to burn painfully. As he does so, however, you feel additional weight pile onto his back, and by now, blood is being let out as you see one of the fox's claws burst through his chest, grabbing him by the heart, not before he can inflict another wound, this time to your side. As you lie there, paralyzed by agony and covered in blood, most of which belongs to you, you can turn your head enough to see the fox rip this man to shreds before melting out of that form into something more human and rushing over to you. With some effort, if you'd like, you can say some last words.
It'll probably be a simple apology, just for my failure. I'm sorry in that I should have been more alert.
As you manage to strain out an apology, tears start to flow down her face as she picks up your heavily injured body and just whispers, "It's okay. You're going to be okay." And as she says this, very quickly, feel your vision start to fade and start to blur. After a while, it goes black. The darkness and numbness enveloping you for some time until you find yourself once again feeling something, feeling a cold, freezing pain as you're carried down some violent, very cold rapids of water. There are jagged rocks all about that at first you narrowly miss and are able to swim past. But as the current picks up, they become closer together, sharper, and slice into you. Point, you're unsure if this pain is better than no feeling at all.
Well, I'll just kind of do my best to protect myself as I'm carried along. There's kind of limited options for what I can do.
Most struggling, though you can usually protect your face, there seems to be over and over again just the feeling of the rocks slicing through your flesh. The feeling of maybe the water healing it back together until you're one piece. Only for the rocks to once again tear at you. And this goes on for an excruciatingly long time. As just when you feel as though you're getting used to it, the current will shift in some way, take you in another direction, begin slicing other parts of your body and causing new forms of agony as some become covered in salt, others perhaps burning feeling chemicals. Though you're conscious through all of it,
Well, it doesn't sound terribly pleasant, but it also sounds like there's not much I can do, so I'm just going to attempt to ride it out as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully coming to a stop somewhere.
Though it doesn't seem to stop, or like it ever will. You do see more beyond just the rocks on either side after a while. You see dead trees, some decorated with orange leaves, and perhaps, if you really strain, one may be low enough for you to catch yourself on.
Oh, that would probably be my best option at this point. I'll attempt to do so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Try and drag myself out. Take stock of my situation, as it were.
The first couple of them slip out of your hands and leave you vulnerable again to the waters, but through persistence, finally, you manage to grab one thick enough to support your weight, just enough life in it so that it doesn't snap immediately at the pressure. You can hoist yourself up, slowly but surely, scraping against the sharp, salted rocks that it's wrapped around. Eventually, you find yourself on top of it in a massive forest made entirely of dead trees.
Alright, I will, can I see anything through the trees at all?
You can't see anything yet, though off in the distance there's a faint light, almost like candlelight. And you think you can hear music, though you're not sure if it's real or just your pain-addled mind playing tricks on you.
Well, I guess I'll approach cautiously. Try and see what I can make out.
As you approach, music does indeed get a little bit louder, a little bit clearer. And as you continue forward, you start to recognize it. Perhaps the music is very classical, Japanese in nature. It sounds like something you'd have heard at a Shinto temple before.
Alright. Given that information, I'll approach a little more openly.
As you do, you recognize faces of several of the kinfolk, the people who lived with you on Sept, though none of the Hangyokai themselves, save for Akira, who's watching from the back, solemnly, silently. Everybody is dressed in black, and you can see as a Shinto priest is singing and chanting over an open casket.
All right. Well, I don't entirely know what to make of that, but I will observe and try to I guess discreetly join the people watching, as it were.
As you join, nobody seems to notice you. It's as though you're not even there to them. Though, as you approach, you can get close enough to the casket to see that the person they are mourning is you. And there you are, lying cold and lifeless.
Well, I don't rightly know what to make of that exactly, but I will, at this point, just kind of continue to observe, take stock of what exactly is the situation is.
The funerary process continues as normal. And afterwards, they all sit together. Some speak, some mingle, others simply leave. After a while, you're left there. The lights turn off. The casket is taken into the back. And the place closes down.
All right, well, I assume I'm still standing there? Is that the...
If you'd like to be. You can follow your corpse if you'd like, or there's nothing stopping you from moving.
Yeah, I would probably do so. You know, that's... I need to figure out what exactly is... I guess wherever I'm going, that's where I need to pursue.
Mm-hmm. You can follow it into the back room, the place where morticians put makeup on them, dress them, prepare them for display, and where they sit after funerals, awaiting cremation. It's just you alone with the body, though it opens its eyes and they follow you as you walk around.
Well, that's unnerving for a number of reasons, but I'll kind of do a loop and try and figure out more about where I am before I'll finally ask the body what we're doing here.
After a while, in a very raspy voice, it whispers, "We're dead."
Their failure is not going to put us in the lands of the ancestors, that much is certain. But why here as opposed to elsewhere?
The corpse doesn't move so much as look around. It doesn't seem to know any better than you.
Certainly we will now we are now in a position to experience and understand just what it is we went through, how we got here.
Place continues to be quiet, though reflected in the lifeless eyes of the corpse, you can faintly see vestiges of the living world, not this landscape of death and trees.
Whatever it is that we are meant to do here, let us do it and move to wherever that is to be. He'll set out from here, leave the region, as it were, or the building. Try and figure out what the surroundings look like.
At the moment the place appears from where you are to simply be a vignette, on the outside it extends into a dark void. And that void is slowly creeping in back towards the room where the corpse is and destroying once again what is in its wake as the trees and the hellscape slowly begin to take over again. You get the feeling the portal back to the living world may slowly be closing in.
I will walk out of the building and out into the void. And as I do, I'll kind of look back at the corpse and say, there will be no honorary funeral for failure. The void is all.
Okay. The void will slowly close in around it, and after a while, you find yourself alone in that abyss. The only vestige of light, the shining points of the corpse's eyes, slowly growing more dull. And through the darkness around the body, you watch as something black, sinister, similar to appearance in you, reaches for it and begins to climb inside. Sort of contorting so as to fit in through the mouth. It is a swirling shadow of black and dark blood red.
Alright, well. Having fairly minimal options, and I guess I'll just observe it.
Okay. As you watch it, it stalks through the darkness, moving as though it were avoiding obstacles in some environment or another. You see brief flashes of what it sees as it begins to hunt people down in the woods, in the alleyways of the city, wherever it can get. Will climb onto people in human strength and speed and feast upon their flesh until they stop struggling.
All right, well, I think the solution here is going to be I have to struggle with it, obviously. If I don't want it to continue, I have to stop it from happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be my approach, I guess.
Okay. As you approach it, it seems to notice you only vaguely, more concentrated on this gory hunt that it seems so set on. What would you like to do?
Well, I guess I'll try and distract it, might be the wrong word, but that's kind of the best word for it, I guess. Or challenge it for control.
Okay, certainly.
Basically, I'm going to stake my claim. This is, my territory, my land, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As you posture in front of it, it stops what it's doing and bares a wicked fanged maw at you in a snarl of challenge.
I guess I'll attempt to subdue it.
Okay. How do you try to subdue it?
It'd be a physical contest. Normally, I'm trained with weapons. I don't know if there's anything around I can use as a weapon, but if not, I will attempt to improvise.
Not at the moment, though you can certainly try to grapple it or do something similar to that.
That would be what my attempt would be to kind of get up physically, challenge it.
Okay. As you do so, it feels smoke-like yet solid at the same time. As you've halted it from feeding on its latest victim, and it pushes back with strength in equal measure, almost mirroring you in a sort of savage, cruel way. And you and it fight for quite a long time, alternating between blows, strangling, grappling, biting. And after a while, you start to notice your form starting to become less corporeal, less recognizable, as they fade into a more ethereal, sort of spherical essence and begin to blend together in a very violent swirl. This fight and this desperate struggle are all that you can remember when your eyes open and you find yourself lying in one of the many alleyways of Tokyo, right next to a mangled corpse with the taste of blood and flesh in your mouth.
Alright, well, that's mildly unpleasant. I guess I'll try and get a handle on how this came about.
At the moment, your memories are vague, smoky, though you can slowly start to piece out what happened to you before you died, what happened to you in hell. But it all seems surreal, unbelievable. You probably wouldn't believe it yourself if you didn't already know of spirits. As you're trying to puzzle all of this out, you see somebody else enter the alleyway. A very tall, gaunt woman in a black cocktail dress.
Alright. I'll approach slowly. I don't know this individual at all, so. But I'll try to see if I can get my bearings from them.
You can slowly start to compose yourself, at least as much as somebody who's just been through what you've been through can. She doesn't appear hostile or even scared, and that's saying a lot for somebody who sees you covered in blood and scars, pale, with some of the blood caked and dried around your mouth. You look downright monstrous.
Well, that does make sense. I'll kind of try to observe more than anything, and see what this individual maybe.
After perhaps a fairly tense sort of stare down, she will start to approach slowly, cautiously, to introduce herself. Hello, I am Kurosawa Tsubaki, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions.
Certainly a number of them, although perhaps not as many as one would expect.
I can explain to you and find someone else who may be able to do it better if you'd come with me.
Of course.
What was that?
He'll follow along.
And as he follows, she will lead him towards the Sensoji temple. along the way, being fairly quiet, avoiding most areas where people notice your current appearance. And as you gaze up at the massive temple, she will say, "Welcome, Heen, to the court of silk and steel." And with that, I believe we will end this scene. Thank you to the player for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene for Japan by Night, Kindred of the East venue.